Hello everybody, my name is Jason and I am an ISFP and you are watching my ISFP journey. Please subscribe, please subscribe, please. Today we're going to finish off the brief series that I've been doing on the cognitive functions, and we are going to be talking about the last two of the perceiving functions, introverted and extroverted intuition. Now, it has taken me a while to have the time to make this video, but I finally have had the time. I don't think it'll be a terribly long video, just haven't had time to make videos much at all. But I will admit that this is also a video that I've been mulling about in my brain a lot because I find the entire concept of intuition to be the most difficult of, the most difficult of all of the cognitive functions for me to understand and therefore, of course, to explain. So I'm going to start with introverted intuition because at least I have that within my first four functions. It is my child function. Some would call it the tertiary function, the third function. So introverted intuition, and intuition in general, is a future-looking, perceiving function. Intuition is looking into the future. Now, I don't mean like soothsaying, wizardry type looking into the future, crystal balls and stuff like that. Intuition in general is just projecting future outcomes and future possibilities from known information, from current situations, from the way it looks like things are going, things of that nature. So, introverted intuition, of course, introverted, that means it's focused inward on the user, right? So if I'm the one using the introverted intuition, then introverted intuition is really that part of my brain which is focusing on my future. It focuses on what I want and then projects out effectively how to get there. For introverted intuition, that is really the function where our willpower and our want to comes from, and then our ability to sort of plot a course to get to where we want to go. Now, that doesn't always mean that we're going to follow through with it. It doesn't always mean that we're going to take the necessary steps, and it certainly doesn't mean that things are going to turn out the way that we want them to turn out just because we have this idea that if we do this and this and this, that it'll turn out this way. I mean, there are a lot of circumstances in life that step in to affect how things all play out. But introverted intuition is very concerned with the future of self, the future of the user. And it can be really concerned with the future of another person, but it's a very one-on-one kind of function, okay? So I might be able to project sort of into the future something that I want to do, something that I want to accomplish, something that I want to be, and I might be able to really consider, whether I'm doing this consciously or not, consider all the known information, past experiences, patterns in this world of the way things tend to go when, this happens and this happens and this happens, it tends to turn out that way. And I can sort of plot myself a course on how I want to get to where I'm going to go. And it also is that function where our sort of want to comes from. It kind of generates within me what I want. I know what I want, or I don't know what I want, or so on and so forth. And when I said a moment ago, it can kind of work for another person. Like my introverted intuition might be able to work for another person. It's like I could see their situation and maybe be able to see how that's going to turn out for them if they continue down the path that they're going. But it is not a broad focus, okay? Introverted intuition is very me focused, and at best, if it can be projected out on another person besides the user, then it's probably just one person at a time, taking into account the situations of that one person. Maybe even considering, well, I know when I did that, myself, turned out this way, probably going to turn out that way for you too. Extroverted intuition, by contrast and comparison, is much more concerned. It's a future-focused function. It's looking at future possibilities, okay? Future ideas, big, grand ideas, but it's looking at them not from the, how is this necessarily going to affect me, or how am I going to get where I'm going, or so on and so forth, but it's looking at the group. Remember, I told you with the judging functions, extroverted and introverted thinking and extroverted and introverted feeling, that the extroverted functions are very focused on they're focused on the external world, right? But with extroverted intuition and the two extroverted judging functions, it's very focused on the group. All right, so extroverted intuition is concerned with the future, but the future of the group. Now, the group could be all mankind, right? So someone who has high extroverted intuition, maybe their hero function, their parent function, they may be projecting future possibilities for all of mankind. But frequently the group is not the whole human race or, planet Earth or something like that. It can be. But frequently it's just my group. Who is my group? Well, maybe it's my family. Maybe someone like an INFP is projecting future possibilities for his or her family. Or it could be my, affiliation, my group, if I belong to a country club or a church or something like that, my religious organization. It could be my company. I might be able to see and project out the likely outcomes for my company if they do this, that, and the other. All right. So extroverted intuition is very concerned about the future, but it's concerned about the future of the group. Now, the user of that extroverted intuition is usually a part of that group. All right. But it's not just that one person. So for me, having introverted intuition within my first four functions as my child function, it shows up in me with a very definite sense of this is what I want. I know what I want. And I usually know, generally speaking, how I can go about getting it. That's kind of how introverted intuition shows up for me. For someone who has it higher in their stack, in their hero function, parent function, it might show up as a strong willpower, a strong drive to get what they want or do what they want. Introverted intuition, though I have a decent hold on it because I do understand at least how it shows up in me. It's a little bit more complicated and it is a little harder for me to explain, especially since I really don't have any close people in my life who have introverted intuition as their hero or their parent function. However, I do have people in my life, 3 of them, my wife and 2 of my children, who have extroverted intuition as their parent function or their auxiliary function, you might call it, because the 2 of them are INFPs and one's an INTP. And then I have 2 friends that have extroverted intuition as their hero function. They're both ENFPs. And they are definitely always having their mind in what the future could hold, big ideas, future possibilities, what could happen. Sometimes it's what could happen, it's exciting. Sometimes it's what could happen, it's scary, it's nerve-wracking, right? I think that depends a little bit on whether it's hero function or parent function, or for those of you who don't subscribe to hero parent concept, whether if it's lead or dominant versus auxiliary can affect whether or not it's sort of an optimistic extroverted intuition. Hey, the future could hold all these great possibilities, or whether it's more of a pessimistic extroverted intuition going, the future, it could hold some bad possibilities. Either way, when we're talking about intuition, we're very much talking about future possibilities. All right. The sensing of perceiving functions, especially extroverted sensing, are very focused on the here and now. They're very grounded in what actually is. What are the tangible physical realities that I can sort of hold in my hand or, touch, feel, taste, see, smell, hear, and analyze and examine, okay? Like an ISTP with extroverted sensing as their parent function, they just have a strong grasp on the physical world, okay? And they sort of can master anything in the physical world. Well, the intuition functions are not as focused. In fact, they're not focused on the here and now. They're focused on the what could be, the future, the projections, the big ideas, the what will tomorrow hold. So, I'm going to get much more in depth on how these things look in the ISFP. That's what I'm going to probably be doing in my next videos after this one. But just as a real quick sort of foretaste of that, I have extroverted sensing as my parent, or some of you would call it auxiliary function. And I'm very in the here and now, right? I'm very concerned about what's going on around me right now, okay? I don't like to think about the future. I have introverted intuition as my child function, so I can, I know what I want. That really shows up as I know what I want, and I have a pretty good idea maybe of how I can get it, but I'm not a planner. I don't want to think about tomorrow. I wake up every day and I decide what I want to do that day when I wake up. I don't want to think about it the night before. I don't want to think about it 2 days in advance or 3 days in advance. I don't want to think about the future. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, right? I mean, we're all holed up in our houses because of this pandemic that's going on. If you'd have made me plan what I was going to do in March back in January, well, it'd all be a waste now, right? So I'm very now focused. I want to think about now. I'm not really concerned about the future. The future will happen when the future happens, and I'll deal with it when it comes. But people with a higher intuition, introverted or extroverted, they're much more concerned about the future. Their head is frequently in the future. They're thinking about the future a lot. They're projecting out. And so intuition is very future focused, whereas sensing is very now focused. Or in the case of introverted sensing, in my experience, it's more past focused, but past to now, extroverted sensing now, and intuition tomorrow and on down the line. Introverted intuition on down the line for me. Extroverted intuition on down the line for my group. So that is intuition. Now, I'm done talking about the cognitive functions. I've done all 4 judging functions, and now I've done all 4 perceiving functions. I do have some other thoughts, so I might do one more video on the cognitive functions just to sort of tie it all together and give some closing thoughts. But after that, I will be moving on to videos that are really just focused on ISFP. And then after I've gotten through a pretty good host of videos that are just on the ISFP personality type, then I'll start delving into some of the other personality types. And I really hope that I'm going to get some interaction from you guys as you watch these videos. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you watching. I really wish you'd subscribe. That would be a big help to me, and that would be awesome. Please keep watching my videos and have yourself a wonderful day. Bye now.